Mavericks in the second round.
I think the thing is, look, every deal has to work for both sides.
And the final standing ovation and roar.
And I think we got to a point where we just said, you know what, we can continue the conversations, but let's just table it until the end of the year.
It's great. And so, I would love to be here long term.
Things aren't looking good for the Los Angeles Clippers. This is a team that could look significantly different next year after being more or less in the same place for the past 5 years. A team that, when healthy, could be one of the best teams in the Western Conference, but alas, they just never could get healthy. So before we get to the content, we are less than 100K subscribers away from getting to 1 million subscribers. So do me a favor and check if you're subscribed if you want to help our channel get to 1 million. And now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Over the past few days, we've been dominating on Prize Picks. We've been hitting an NBA, MLB, and we're on a hot streak, making a ton of money while having a lot of fun while doing it. I post my picks for free on Instagram, so you can literally just go copy my picks and just enjoy the game. And right now, Prize Picks will double your deposit match when you use my promo code TheFlightMike when you sign up. Or you can just click on the link in the description down below and sign up for Prize Picks. And thank you, Prize Picks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Upon the Los Angeles Clippers losing to the Dallas Mavericks in the first round of the playoffs, there was a lot of questions about the future of their core. You see, Paul George and James Harden both have contracts set to expire, but at the same time, what about their head coach, Ty Lue? Originally, the Los Angeles Clippers were viewed as Ty Lue's backup choice. The man literally had a Los Angeles Lakers cake brought to him during his 42nd birthday. But once the Lakers and Ty Lue couldn't come to terms on a contract, the Lakers opted for Frank Vogel, and Tyronn Lue eventually found himself coaching the Los Angeles Clippers. And since then, it's been the same story each and every year. Just think about it for a second. The last time the Los Angeles Clippers had both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard fully healthy for their playoff run, it was the 2020 playoffs, when they blew a 3-1 series lead versus the Denver Nuggets. And that was before Tyronn Lue was even their head coach. That was the famous Pandemic P playoff series versus the Denver Nuggets. And following that meltdown, that's when the Los Angeles Clippers opted to move on from Doc Rivers. But ever since then, every time Tyronn Lue was able to get the Los Angeles Clippers into the playoffs, they wouldn't even be at full strength. In 2021, Kawhi Leonard was hurt and they would lose to the eventual Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns. In 2022, Kawhi Leonard's injured and the Los Angeles Clippers couldn't even make it into the playoffs, losing in the play-in tournament. In 2023, both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were injured and the Clippers would lose in the first round of the playoffs. And then there's this past year, the Los Angeles Clippers had a much different strategy. They understood that Kawhi Leonard is prone to getting injured a lot. No matter what you do, no matter how little he plays during the regular season, when one of your max contract stars isn't able to make it in the playoffs, you're playing at a significant handicap. So the strategy was simple. Trade for James Harden, hope that James Harden could carry the load with Paul George, and a way below his market value Russell Westbrook, supplement some great role players, and hopefully that'd be enough if Kawhi Leonard can't play. At a specific point, one has to wonder if Tyronn Lue's getting sick of what's going on here, especially because the Los Angeles Lakers are interested in his services. But Tyronn Lue immediately put to rest those rumors.
It was reported today that the franchise is looking to sign you to a long-term extension. Do you expect to be here long-term?
I hope so. I hope so. I didn't come here to bounce around and, go all over the place. And, Mr. Ballmer, Lawrence, Mark, Trent, Gillian, they've all been great to me, and this is where I want to be. And hopefully they feel the same way, and so I haven't had a better experience, since I've been here. It's great. And so, I would love to be here long term.
Just your thoughts on the Lakers kind of rumored that your name is bouncing around for their next head coaching position. Obviously, you have time left here. Your overall thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't really have a comment on that. I mean, it's great to be wanted. That's a really good feeling. But like I said, I want to be here, and hopefully we're able to solidify that.
But alas, the Los Angeles Clippers have a way different problem. They already decided to sign Kawhi Leonard to a 3-year, $153 million contract. But at the same time, per Sam Amick and Law Murray from The Athletic, the Clippers feel like Kawhi Leonard needs an elite team in order to mitigate his inevitable injuries. So the article says, even with the Clippers' latest disappointing finish, a second consecutive first-round flop that followed their playoff absence back in 2022, they're expected to make strong efforts to re-sign both Paul George and James Harden. The thinking, team sources say, is that a team built around the often injured Leonard simply must have as much elite talent as possible as a way of mitigating the seemingly inevitable injuries that have come to define this Clippers era. And that makes a lot of sense. If you have one of your star players consistently getting injured, then of course you would need an elite team around him to make up for when he's not available to play. But if that's the case, why would you sign Kawhi Leonard to a contract that pays him $51 million a year annually? It's a short-term contract too, so it's not like you could look at me and say,
Well, Mike, the salary cap's gonna go up. It's gonna be a good contract soon.
because essentially what the Los Angeles Clippers are doing is very, very backwards, and this is going to cause the collapse of their team. You see, James Harden is set to be a free agent this offseason, and he's already been on record saying that he wants to continue his partnership with the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers currently have $169 million committed to other salaries before even factoring in James Harden. Now, the reality is there's not a lot of teams that want James Harden's services, and there's not a lot of other teams that James Harden would rather go to. There is a reason why he opted into his contract with the Philadelphia 76ers a few years ago. And in the same article, it mentions that Harden, meanwhile, is for the second successive offseason probably looking at a lukewarm market. There simply aren't a lot of teams with cash to burn, and the ones that do are either rebuilding, like the Detroit Pistons, Utah Jazz, and San Antonio Spurs, or contenders that don't make sense, like Philadelphia 76ers, OKC Thunder, and Orlando Magic. So finding some middle ground could nonetheless be tricky for Harden and the Clippers. The Clippers clearly can't rebuild because they're about to move into a brand new arena, and they're risking losing their star that hasn't been nearly as injured as Kawhi Leonard. So Evan Sideri mentions that the Clippers have made multiple contract offers to Paul George below the max, which he will not accept, per Shams Charania on Run It Back FDTV. Los Angeles wants to keep Paul George, but he appears to be heading towards unrestricted free agency this summer. Paul George just turned 34 years old a few days ago. This is without a doubt his final opportunity to secure a maximum level contract. And in the Los Angeles Clippers' minds, they're thinking,
Hey, we're giving Kawhi Leonard a below market deal. Well, in order to make this work, why don't you also take a below market deal?
but if you're Paul George, why would you do that? Why would you take less money and get paid as much as your co-star that hasn't been able to consistently make it to the playoffs year in and year out? Why would you commit more years to a core that you've been a part of over the past 5 years when it's the same result over and over and over again? Especially because the Los Angeles Clippers don't have any more assets to improve, and the Western Conference is just getting stronger and stronger. A year ago, we weren't factoring in teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves or the OKC Thunder. You got defeated in the first round by the Dallas Mavericks, so who's to say things are going to get better in the West for you here? In my last video on the Philadelphia 76ers, I mentioned how they could completely break the NBA as being one of the more attractive options for Paul George. And even if it doesn't work for Paul George, they could pursue players like Brandon Ingram or Jimmy Butler. But in this particular instance, Paul George doesn't even need to go to the Philadelphia 76ers to be placed in a good situation to win. A team like the Orlando Magic that came within a game of advancing to the second round of the NBA playoffs, who has young talent that could use a veteran voice like Paul George, who on a team that's consistently healthy throughout the year, would be a very attractive option for PG. Now, bear in mind, during the trade deadline this past year, the Los Angeles Clippers were dangling Paul George in trade talks, as mentioned by this Athletic article by Sam Amick. Only George knows how he truly sees his situation, but it's worth remembering that the Clippers are known to have shown a willingness to discuss him in a few trade scenarios heading into the February deadline. The internal calculus was different back then, of course, but the absence of a new deal with George leaving the Clippers concerned that they might ultimately lose him for nothing in return in free agency. And then you have Russell Westbrook, who ultimately made the biggest sacrifice of his career to be a Los Angeles Clipper. Now, shortly after the Clippers lost, this article came out from Sam Amick and Law Murray that Russell Westbrook accepting a role off of the bench was far more challenging than the Clippers let on. Bear in mind, this man was coming off of one of the first Supermax contract extensions in the NBA, and then he decided to sign a 2-year, $7.9 million deal to stay with with the Los Angeles Clippers. And immediately after the Clippers trade for James Harden, next thing you know, Russell Westbrook decides to come off of the bench. Russell Westbrook reportedly said that I've been in the league for so long and I understand the definition of true sacrifice and understanding what that looks like. Sometimes it might not be how you want it, but if it's for the betterment of the team, that's the most part. This is a team game, and I know the most important goal, and that's to win a championship. And then the Los Angeles Clippers lose in the first round to the Dallas Mavericks. So now there's rumors about Russell Westbrook potentially wanting to go elsewhere. But before we get to those rumors, it's important to mention that Russell Westbrook called a lot of this BS, saying that I am often the topic of conversation by so many sources and sports news outlets that I felt inclined to share my actual thoughts and words following this season. Understand that anything you read about what I've said or haven't said has likely been fabricated. I've never had any trouble sharing my thoughts or ideas on anything, and I choose to keep my thoughts to myself in most cases. I like to share some of my actual thoughts to Clipper Nation and all of my fans. It's a difficult time for a lot of people due to certain expectations that have been placed on them. Therefore, it's understandable that there is pressure to plan stories or point the finger for what many would classify as a disappointing end to our season. I, for one, enjoyed my year and worked hard to bring the energy and provide a spark for our team with each opportunity I was given. I felt that I was and remain more than willing to take on new roles and make certain sacrifices in hopes that it would make our team better. I hoped for a different outcome, but I also enjoyed being in the trenches with my teammates this year who have all been supportive of me throughout the season. I hope to come back better, stronger, and remain eager to take on any role that continues to put us in the best position to win next season. So this is pretty much Russell Westbrook saying,
Hey, I'm not Allen Iverson 2.0 or Carmelo Anthony 2.0. I'm willing to take on any role that you give me and I'm happy to play.
this is very consistent with Russell Westbrook in the past, who went viral for saying this.
We know in this room what we can be. And we just got to keep stacking, keep building, keep doing things the right way. Being together, being competitive, being aggressive. Let's keep this going.
Let's get greedy.
Let's get real greedy, man. Let's get real greedy.
Get greedy, man.
We got on three.
man.
Keep having fun, bro.
Yes, sir.
You happy for the next man. Keep having fun, bro. Win, lose, or draw, have fun. Just keep having fun, bro. Let's go, man.
My personal opinion, I don't think winning a championship is the most important thing to Russ anymore. I think he's just doing side missions at this point. The man won an MVP, the man got paid. He's just happy to be at home playing for the Los Angeles Clippers and not having fans do this to him.
Westbrook, I'm a biggest fan. Westbrook. I said I'm a biggest fan. Westbrook. Westbrook. Russell Westbrook.
But at the same time, if he wanted a bigger role somewhere else, there are some better fits for him, especially at the contract that he's at. And I have to admit, the fit with the Los Angeles Clippers hasn't really been the best fit. And I think the best way to paint the picture for you guys is this meme. Russell Westbrook has literally been spotting up in the corner during his time with the Los Angeles Clippers. The role he's in doesn't really make a lot of sense. I like him as a primary guard off of the bench to create plays for his teammates, but I don't really like him just camping out in the corner and shooting 6 of 38 over his final games for the Clippers this past year. It's just not the right role for him or the right fit. So what is? While Russell Westbrook is still under contract, but a team like the San Antonio Spurs that would allow Victor Wembanyama to team up with one of the greatest players of the previous decade, playing for an established basketball mind like Greg Popovich that would know what to do with Russell Westbrook as opposed to just keeping him in a corner shooting threes that he shoots under 30% from. But ultimately, I think Russell Westbrook will end up staying with the Los Angeles Clippers. I think James Harden will end up staying with the Clippers as well. And I give Paul George a 50-50 chance of leaving the Clippers. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about the Los Angeles Clippers future? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.